Hi, everybody. Welcome to this panel on innovation with our expert coach, Selena Leal. Welcome, Selena. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks, Cecilia.
Uh, Before we begin, I do want to remind everybody that this is an interactive panel, which means that you can ask Selena any questions at any point throughout the panel by typing your question in the Q&A chat box or by raising your hand to be unmuted and asking the question verbally. So like I said earlier, today's panel is about innovation, such an interesting topic. And my first question, I guess, to Selena is, how does innovation affect mental health in general?
How does innovation affect mental health? Well, first of all, why don't we go back and kind of take a look at what, innovation is. So one way that I like to think about it is we're oftentimes thinking on autopilot. We're living our lives on autopilot. We're kind of doing the same things, having the same thoughts, having pretty similar emotions. And this is just kind of this way of being. Innovation is the ability to harness creativity, to think outside of the box, to come off of that autopilot, to be able to create something outside of the status quo, outside of our regular frame of vision or the way we experience life. So naturally, when we step outside of that status quo, that autopilot in our way of living, in our way of thinking, we're activating different things inside of us. We're activating. So for example, let's just take a moment and just think about a time, excuse me, that we've engaged in something creative. Maybe it was a creative project like creating a film or baking, if you're Lucia, or painting, something like this. Or maybe it was a creative adventure, right? Maybe you just explored something. How do you start to feel when you allow yourself to do something differently, when you allow yourself to do something creatively? Don't you naturally start to feel something different inside? Maybe you feel a little more joyful. Maybe you feel more aware of your emotions, even if they're emotions like sadness or anger. Maybe you feel more expanded or more expressed. Maybe you feel that passion that's waking up inside when you allow that creativity to perk up. So part of that shift that we experience with innovation, with creativity, is simply that. We can just naturally feel more expanded, more aware, more uplifted energetically, emotionally, mentally. And when we are thinking about things differently, different parts of the brain are being activated. Different parts of the brain are being lit up. So let's say that in my day-to-day routine, I feel a lot of anxiousness quite often. Likely the amygdala, this aspect of the brain in the limbic system, is very activated. This is kind of the storehouse of fear in the brain. I'm living on autopilot. The amygdala is really lit up. It's constantly sending these messages that make me feel this continuous anxiety, right? When I refocus the mind on something creative, when I shift out of that autopilot, that energy, that awareness is being directed to different parts of the brain that awaken creativity, that probably make me feel more uplifted. So that emphasis on the amygdala is being directed someplace else now. So coming back to your original question, how can innovation or creativity affect mental health? It uplifts us energetically, which of course creates different experiences in the nervous system. It lights up different parts of the brain, which can again give us different experiences all around.
Thank you, Selena. That was wonderful. I love that you mentioned the science behind it. I think it's so important to understand. We'd love to hear from the audience. How do you find ways to be creative or innovative? Like Selena said, I love baking. Selena, you love dancing. I know that. So I would love to hear what everybody else does to be creative. And a question I had actually related to what we were just talking about is, can you learn to be innovative or creative, or is it something that you're generally born with? And why are some people maybe more creative than others? How does that come into play?
Yeah. Sorry, if you don't feel creative, you're just out of luck. Just kidding. Just kidding. Well, let's think about it. With everything that we were just speaking of, if I live inside of the status quo, if I live in this limited way of thinking or experiencing my life, I'm going to experience just that, right? So it's not that we can't become more creative. Sometimes it's just thinking outside of the box. Sometimes it's using practices like meditation to expand our awareness to see more than the tunnel vision that many of us live inside of. So we can definitely all develop greater creativity. And develop is the word, because it's through different ways of being that we can have this experience of more creativity. And of course, again, coming back to the awareness of the brain, different parts of the brain start to light up. We start to create new patterns that encourage more creativity, right? So let's say, for example, I never paint. I've never painted before. And one day I just decide, you know what? My life feels very boring right now. I'd like to start painting. Or maybe my life doesn't feel boring, but I decide I want to paint. When I paint for the first time, I'm creating something new. And the more that I create that something new, the more that I go back to the experience of painting, I am strengthening this pathway in the brain of creativity. So we can definitely all cultivate greater creativity and innovation.
That's such good news, especially for people that call themselves numbers people. They say, I'm not creative, but now we know that everybody can be creative. So speaking of meditation, you touched upon just now that meditation can help us expand our creativity. What kinds of meditations do you recommend for us to, become more creative or innovative? And is there one that you normally practice yourself to be able to be more creative when you're not feeling that creative?
Mm, that's a great question. Well, why don't we take a moment to just practice together? Yes, let's just take a moment to settle in. So let's close the eyes. And then I invite you to just sit however you are. A lot of us think that meditation has to be about some specific posture and you have to do things the right way. Just let your body relax. Let your jaw soften. Feel that space between the teeth. And as you breathe deeply, feel the shoulders relax. Feel the belly and the hips relaxing. As if each breath is allowing different parts of the body to feel more relaxed. And maybe make the breath a little longer and a little deeper. Maybe even exhale through the mouth. And just bring your awareness to the feeling of the breath as it moves in and out of the nose. Starting to direct your awareness to the breath. Feel the breath as it moves in. Maybe there's a coolness to it. And then as it moves out, maybe there's a warmth. And we'll stay here for a few more rounds of breath, just feeling the sensation of the breath as it moves in and out. And then maintaining this sense of maybe feeling a little more centered, maybe you feel a little more quiet. Maybe you just are noticing your breath. But from here, let's slowly open the eyes and then just notice inside of your body or inside of your feeling sense, is there anything that shifted? Or if you take a moment to just slowly look around you, do you notice anything right now that you might not have noticed a moment ago? Even if you've been in this room thousands of times, is there something you're aware of right now? Lucia, how about for you? Maybe you can answer that question for us.
Sure. The first thing I noticed when I opened my eyes was the lighting. Just like there was so much light in the room, and before I didn't even face me, I didn't really notice it. So it's interesting. I definitely feel more aware, more centered.
Yes.
And it always happens with meditation for me. It's incredible.
Yes.
Would love to hear what everybody else felt as well. I know we have a couple comments that I'd like to read out. The first one is by Shazam. He says, I just wanted to say hi and that this is a really good app and I'm new to this. So welcome to this class and to the app. So happy to have you. Um, then we have another comment by Barbara. She says, I started cleaning and found some old songbooks I stopped using and used it today. Found a fresh breath in that. So it's so interesting. That's how she cultivates creativity.
Lovely. Great.
And we do have a comment as well in the Q&A chat box that says, my mind is always a little bit clutter and not always stable. So I think that's the reason why we practice these meditations. It's such a great way to get there.
Yes. And coming back to, thank you everyone for sharing, and please share. We love hearing from you. So coming back to your question a moment ago, you said what practices can help us develop greater innovation and creativity. And I would say many practices, many meditation practices, because as you so gracefully shared with us, when we meditate, even if it's only for 1 minute, like we just did, we develop greater awareness. Yes, we naturally move into this awareness where we're not on autopilot, right? When you came into the room, you were on autopilot. You were getting ready for the webinar, you were focused, you're making sure everything was working right. But now after you take this moment to be aware, you notice the lighting. You notice things in a different way, right? In a different light. So this is one of the ways that so many different meditation practices can help develop innovative tendencies and creativity. And my personal favorite is visualization practices, because visualization practices, whether I'm really able to see it or I'm using my power of intention, yes, because sometimes seeing things isn't easy, so we have to use our thoughts to kind of create that. So when I use the power of visualization, I'm expanding, I'm building, I'm using my imagination to see things beyond what I could before.
Thank you, Selena. I love that. I also love visualization practices. I do have a question regarding that. Is it possible to sort of go through your day doing small visualization practices that can help you, or do you have to sit down for an extended period of time and sort of visualize, or can you just practice that through the day as you go? Is there a right and wrong way of doing it, or what would you suggest?
There's definitely not a right or wrong way of doing it. And I would say any time of day. However, meditation, excuse me, in the beginning of the day, it's so powerful because it's like it lays the foundation for the rest of the day. So having a practice at the beginning of the day where you are seeing what it is that you want, maybe you have a big presentation coming up. Rather than going, what do? We have a big presentation coming up. Most of us think about what? Oh gosh, what if I forget what I'm supposed to say? Oh no, what if I do something weird with my face? Oh no, what if they don't like what I have to say, right? We usually think about the things that we don't want to happen. So imagine how powerful it is when we start the day imagining that presentation going as amazingly well as possible. Everyone is just clapping and we feel joyful and powerful and empowered, just to use visualization to set the intention for what it is that we want to experience. And then, of course, we can use it all throughout the day, most definitely. And I would say anytime that your mind is going into that place of, oh, this is not what I want, but I'm thinking about it, take a few breaths and see if you can see what you really want as opposed to all the fears of what you don't. And Lucia, it looks like we might have a hand raised.
Yes, let me um, unmute. So basically what I think the person should be able to talk at this point. Feel free to unmute yourself. Make sure you hit the unmute button. to
Yes,
be
yes.
able to ask your question.
Hi, Divya Jyoti. Go ahead and unmute. Oh, you did it a moment ago.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Hello, welcome.
Ma'am. Hi, ma'am. Good evening. Uh, Actually, my question is at the time of I when I study any subject of my course, I at that time I think about other subjects that I have not studied, that I have not studied that subject. The many subjects came into my mind when I study a particular subject.
Mm,
How can I improve, how can I improve myself? But because I have completed my post graduation, but I am lacking a job. I'm just hopeless now. That's
mm.
why I joined this app. Mm.
Thank you for sharing. I'm glad you're here. So that I understand your question, you're saying that your mind becomes distracted thinking of other things.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, yes. So first of all, my friend, I would just say be kind to yourself because this is very common. The mind, this is the tendency of the mind to think all of these different things. And especially if we have a feeling of pressure, right? Maybe we need a job and we haven't found one, or maybe there is some problems in the family and it's difficult. When we feel stress, uh, and there's this sense of internal pressure, it can feel even more challenging and the mind can be even more monkey, more chaos. So first is just to just be kind. Sometimes I even just put my hand on my heart and I take some deep breaths and I just say it's okay, or I love you, whatever it is. Just give yourself a moment of knowing that it's okay, that your mind is doing what it's doing. And then I would say, keep coming to practice with us and take some time every day to sit in stillness. Maybe the mind is, going everywhere, but just taking time to be in stillness. Close the eyes, even 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just be in stillness without distraction, phone, computer, studies, people. Yes, all these things. Be still and breathe and just sit with your breath and see what happens when you start to give yourself the gift of stillness each day. That's what I would say. Be kind with you, be kind, and take time to be in stillness each day to develop the ability in the mind to focus more and to just be more calm. Thank you so much for asking.
Thank you, Selena. That's wonderful advice. I'm definitely going to follow it myself too. It's incredible what meditation, or even a minute, like you said, of meditation can do to you. It definitely calms me down, and I love the tip of putting your hand in your heart. I think that's such a useful tip. To just show yourself some self-love too. I want to remind everybody we are getting close to the end of our panel, but if you have any questions, would like to ask Selena anything, would like to share an experience you had in this session or in general, feel free to write it down in the Q&A chat box or to raise your hand and share it with with everybody in here in the class. We actually do have a comment here from Angus. He says, "I'm just coming in a good day. How do you deal with someone with attitudes?"
Uh, how do you deal with somebody else with an attitude? Well, first of all, I have to become aware of what it is that is triggering in me. Why am I getting upset because someone has an attitude? It's usually because one, I'm making it about me. I'm taking it personally. Oh, they're being mean to me. They're being not nice to me. I make it about me. And I also have expectations. They're supposed to be nice. They're supposed to be kind. They're supposed to be respectful, right? I have expectation and I'm taking something personally. But I'll ask all of us, have we ever had a day where we were rude to someone? Have we ever had a day where we were short tempered? Maybe we got upset with someone. Maybe we said something we wish we hadn't said. Have we ever had a day where we were mean to somebody that we didn't even know? Maybe it was someone at the coffee shop giving us our coffee and we were mean to them because we didn't feel good, right? We all have days where we're not very nice people, where we have attitudes. And why is that? Because something inside of us doesn't feel good. It's not our inherent nature to be awful to each other. Yes, it's because we don't feel good. Maybe our body is really hurting one day and we just don't have the patience to speak with people. Or maybe someone in our family is very ill and our heart feels this burden every day. Or maybe we're having issues with our finances and we feel this stress and our mind just is so chaotic. Yes, we act these ways when we're suffering inside. So the way to find more grace, find more peace in you, in us, when dealing with other people's attitudes is compassion. First of all, understanding for this person to be acting the way they are, it's because they're suffering in some way and we just happen to be in their path. Because I promise you, anything that we think is personal is not. Every single thing, even when it's directed at us, has to do with what is going on in the other. And it doesn't mean there isn't room for us to grow, right? There's always sometimes people give us very valid feedback. I experience you as this way all the time. Yes, it might have to do with them that they're expressing it, but it doesn't mean that I can't also look at it. Okay, maybe there's something here for me to look at in myself. So again, compassion. Okay, this person is being away because they don't feel good. And I just happen to be in that path.
Thank you, Selena. Angus says thank you as well, by the way. So I think that's great advice. Love the idea of compassion, especially, and not taking things personal. I think that I'm recently applying that, and it has worked wonders for me. So I think it's definitely something to put into practice. We are getting close to the end of our session, and I'll ask Selena if she wants to close with either a practice or some words of wisdom. Thank you so much, Selena, for all your amazing knowledge as always, and for everybody else for their great questions and for being here too.
Thank you, Lucia. Thank you, everyone, for being here with us, for sharing. If you're on YouTube, please download the app, come join us so that you can share your thoughts and questions and whatever it is that you're experiencing. Thank you all for being here. And why don't we just close the eyes and just take a moment to, again, feel the breath. Find that space between the teeth again so that the jaw relaxes. Take a really deep, full breath. And then exhale through the mouth. And then with the eyes closed, bring your awareness to all 10 toes. Just feel your toes. And then keep the body very still as you feel both feet. Just sense these areas of the body. Feel the lower legs and the knees. The upper legs and the hips, the whole pelvis. Sense the whole torso, front and back, just breathing in stillness. Feel the shoulders and the upper arms. The forearms and the hands. All fingers and thumbs. Just sensing the body. Feel the heart center. The neck and the throat. whole face, all the little muscles in the face, the whole head, the ears. Let's take one more deep, full breath through the whole body. And slowly open the eyes and again bring this awareness of what newness is present for you. And remember that meditation is this powerful coming home to our own experience of center, of balance, taking us off autopilot to be able to be the creative creators of our own lives that we are. Thank you all so much for being here. With great love. Namaste.